A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace. The greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah, we are alive after the month of Ramadan. We've survived life to enjoy another month. A month of cleansing, a month of spiritual upliftment, and here we are. And I would like to continue with the series of lectures that I've been doing and focus on my path, the road that I've been on. Not just talking about things, but sharing a personal adventure, my personal adventure on the spiritual path, from where I was to where I am to where I'm going, and hopefully that you can get something out of it yourself. I always say, who do you listen to? And I encourage people to listen to either people who have been where you are and they are now where you want to be, or they are on the path to where you want to be, 100% committed. So I have been 100% committed to this path, the path of human excellence, the straight path, the ascending path, the path to returning to Allah consciousness. And it's been tremendous value for me, and continues to be tremendous value for me to be on this path, where things get better and better. And how can they not? When guidance has come to us and we receive guidance, one who is guided, their lives improve. Understand, a difficult life, a life of challenge and suffering, usually is a life, as the Quran tells us, when you fail to remember Allah, Allah fails to remember you, and you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a depressed life. So Allah tells us that if you remember Him, and you remember Him abundantly, then you will succeed. So this is what we are really all about ultimately. What is success? If you remember Allah, and you remember Allah abundantly, Allah will remember you and you will experience success. If you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a depressed life and Allah will not remember you. So the remembrance of Allah, the Quran speaks of the remembrance of Allah being greater than anything else. And so this is my sharing of my journey from insecurity to security, how I lived with a diseased heart. When one is insecure, one is living with a diseased heart. How I lived when I had a diseased heart, and the way I felt when I had a diseased heart, and what my life reflected back to me when I had a diseased heart. And shukr to Allah, through the guidance and through stepping along a path of being guided, then you play a more responsible role in your life. You play a more beneficial role in your life. You play a more conscious and constructive and creative role in your life. So one of the things that we've been emphasizing here is guidance. That Allah has given human beings guidance, and those people who value guidance and who accept that guidance and allow themselves to be guided. See, those who accept guidance, allow themselves to be guided, they can begin to see the error of their ways of being unguided. When you're unguided, or shall I say pre-guided, before you are guided, you are on a negative trajectory. You are in a fallen state, you have forgotten Allah, you are insecure, your heart is diseased, you are yet to remember Allah. And you can sense that insecurity, the heart that is diseased, the worry, the fear, the stress, the strain, the distress, the struggle, the suffering. And sometimes people might think, but I don't struggle, I got a good job, and I got a good life. But if you listen to my lectures from months gone by, you'll know that there are many people who seemingly are successful in this world in that they have the things that people may look at in this world and think that if you have it, you're successful. You get what I mean? They might have money or have used their capacities or capabilities or competencies to start a business or to study and become a professional or to have a good job. And so people might be depending on themselves, and they might be depending on their jobs or their businesses or people, or they might be encouraging people to depend upon them. But don't let that fool you. Don't let that fool you. Until one is spiritually expressed, one is depressed. You get what I mean? Until one is spiritually expressed, one is depressed. And so people might think, but I'm not depressed. I have food, shelter, clothing, whatever people think has value, a partner, a spouse. I have a rich partner or spouse, whatever it is. I have the house on my name, whatever. I have policies, whatever it is people might say. You know what I mean? I have. But that doesn't mean you are secure. That is the safety that people seek in this world when they are unaware of Allah. When you're aware of Allah, that's the only time you're really secure. Until then, you may confuse safety, relief, excitement, And I'll explain to you why, what the difference is. Because I was one of those people who denied Allah and His greatness. I associated partners unwillingly. I thought money, a job, a person, somebody or something is going to make me feel okay. I associated partners. Not in the traditional, looking for idols, but in the idolatry kind of way, where people look at other than Allah. They look to somebody or something created. I also did that. And I was a hypocrite. I said, I believe this, I do that, all that sort of thing. I was Islami, I was a hypocrite. But I hadn't really submitted before Allah. I didn't really worship Allah. I was saying I believe. The Quran says those who say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they don't believe in Allah in the last day. I was one of them. In their hearts is a disease. The disease is expanded. They are astray and they're left to stray. I was one of those people too. So I can tell you what the situation is. I can explain to you that situation that is from insecurity, when somebody is living afraid and threatened, and then is living no longer afraid and threatened. When we are not guided, when we are pre-guided, when we depend on ourselves and others, we focus exclusively into this world. People say, look, what else is there to focus on or into? Well, that's the difference between a believer and a non-believer. And you get the three types of non-believers. Those who deny God, they have ideas about God, and the ideas they think they can't be God because for various reasons. They think others who believe in God believe in Father Christmas or the Tooth Fairy kind of understanding. You know what I mean? So there are those who are atheists who have ideas about the gods of others, and they say, no, you're not. There's no God. And then there are those who have ideas about the things of this world and people of this world as being necessary and needed to be okay and all that. And they associate us. They might come up with ideas of God or imaginary views about the Creator in their mind. Make up gods other than God. They take gods other than God. Either something in the physical world, or something in their imagination. They might actually fantasize. They have fantasies about God. But that's not really God consciousness. And they might say, but we read the Quran or we pray and use the name of Allah, speak about the Prophet and have certain grooming or dressing, oh, but we are Muslims because we don't eat the pig, and so on and so forth. Some might eat like pigs, but no, we don't eat the pig, you know what I mean? And so on and so forth. And say, oh, but we are believers. Now, I'm saying to you, one of the chief fundamental differences between a believer and a non-believer is that a believer focuses beyond this world. The believer is focused beyond what is currently going on. What currently appears to be primary. What do you perceive with your senses? What you perceive as sensations in your body, or you're thinking about your senses and sensations. Your idea that you are real, the world is real, you are primary, the world is real, you always was, you will be, you won't die. This is what, in Western literature they call the ego. The ego. The denying, I call it the phantom self. The self that does not give acknowledgement to our Creator. The self that doesn't consider itself to be caused and continued, cared for and considered, championed and cherished. The self that is unaware, non-experiencing. See, that's the non-believing self. And so guidance has come to humanity. I'm among those who have received guidance and accepted guidance and be transformed through that transformational learning, that through that learning, developmental learning, transformational growth. I'm not the same person. I was once insecure, and now I'm not as insecure as I once was. I'm more secure than I have ever been. And I'm telling you the difference. It's you focus beyond the physical world. When you worship Satan, when you haven't become aware of Allah, you get very, very controlled by what you perceive in your reality. What has happened in the past, what is happening now, what you can see, what you can hear, what's going on. The physical world experience, like the physical world, is very real to you. Now sometimes I say like the world is not real, you're not real, and you might think, but like, what do you mean? Well, it's not as what it seems to be. You get what I mean? When you are unenlightened, you think it is the way you think it is. You think you understand. You have a sense of I know. And that's arrogance. Because the world we did not create. We are created beings in a created world. And we can't really know. Our perceptions of what we see and what's going on and what is really going on is two different things. Many times in the Quran says, if you would only but know, like when it says fasting is for us to develop taqwa, and if you develop taqwa, the benefit of it, if you only but knew, so it's like human beings don't know, but we think we know. We're like, what is fasting? Starving ourselves? That's what people think. What is fasting? Well, fasting is a spiritual practice that builds taqwa in its truest sense. After the month of Ramadan, you should have more taqwa than you had before the month of Ramadan. You get what I mean? You have a more spiritual, stronger spiritual strength after using the spiritual discipline of fasting. If you're still the same person you were before the fast, after the fast, after this month, that means you didn't know as a believer the value of fasting beyond the value that it is to the physical body, and so on and so forth. Some people fast because of the value that the fast is to the physical body, but we are talking about taqwa here. We're talking about the fasting that is to draw closer to Allah, to experience taqwa, And so if you spend the month of Ramadan for the purpose that it was given to us, and you respected it and you used it, you would have more taqwa after the month than you did have before the month. But if you're just the same person that you were before the month, during the month and after the month, but you might have just acted, holy moly, and you need food and from sun up to sundown, but from sundown you had a party that was very unhealthy party as well, not healthy food, not tayyib. Imagine fasting and breaking your fast with haram food. I mean, it's not a good idea. But imagine fasting and breaking your fast with food that is not tayyib. That is what the Quran says, eat halal and tayyib. You know what I mean? So, but, the Islamis, what do they know? They're not interested in guidance. They're interested in being right. They're interested in saying they are right. They're not going to hell. They're going to heaven. They're better than everybody else, whatever. They know. They're not humble, the Islamis. People worship religion instead of worshipping Allah. People worship not even true religion. People worship the ideas of religion. You get what I mean? Oh, as long as you don't eat the pig, that's the best thing ever. That makes you a Muslim now. But all the other teaching around diet and healthy eating and how to live as the Prophet lived, and it means nothing. You get what I mean? Hypocrisy. I'm thinking about when flew a few days ago, flew business class. And so I noticed in the business class section there were a lot of Islamis. Now I'm thinking why aren't you sitting on the floor? Because there's people who tell you that, Prophet sat on the floor, we sit on the floor. In our houses we got the floor. But here's the guys going for business class. Now I'm not saying that Islam says don't go for business class. I'm just saying that here are people who will tell you they sit on the floor and all that, but they're in the business class, paying 2-3 times more than, the economy. You should sit on the floor in economy. I'm just saying, anyway, I'm just trying to tell you the hypocrisy that when people worship religion, not even true religion, it's a disaster. It's a complete and utter disaster. There's so much of hypocrisy, there's so much of craziness, but no, we're good, we're right. Let's listen to the Guru and the Pandit because they're teaching us very nicely. In the meantime, there's no understanding of Allah. There's no understanding of humility before Allah. There's no understanding of what the Quran promotes as humility. You understand? There's no understanding. Let's just keep our pants above the ankles, and as long as we sit on the floor at home, but when we travel, we'll travel business class. I'm not criticizing. I was in the business class myself, enjoying it too. So, but I'm not a hypocrite. You get what I mean? I'm not following religion with ideas and thinking this is so wonderful. This is why the Islamis, those who say they believe in Allah and the last day, but they don't believe in Allah and the last day. The self-deceivers, those who follow gurus and pandits who promote and preach, a very distorted understanding of religion that doesn't really guide any human being or doesn't support learning, growth and development, this is what's happening, that you don't understand halal and tayyib is the same in waiting. It's not no, halal is more important than, tayyib. Quran says eat halal and tayyib in the same verse, and then it says beware of Satan who will trick you. You know what I mean? Just tells you the truth, eat halal, and then tells you watch out. And here the people have made a religion that is not Islam. That's why I call them Islamis. So you'll fast, you starve yourself from the morning, and time to break fast, you will consume foods that are not tayyib. It's like eating haram food. No, it's not the same. Well, tell Allah that. Tell Allah your understanding of His deen. Tell them what the Guru. If you follow the Guru and the Pandit, follow the Guru and the Pandit then. But don't tell that that is Islam, because that's not Islam. You get what I mean? So, guidance, I'm telling you that guidance, it's all about guidance. Who will receive guidance? And I've been making the point that there are people who, when hardship befalls them, they please save me, God. Please save me, God. Get rid of this, get rid of that. But they don't understand that the way they are in the world is because of their lack of being guided. They are unaware, they're ignorant, they're non-experiencing. How can you live in a way that will benefit you in this world through your death and beyond if you don't receive the proper guidance of the Quran? You get what I mean? If you don't recognize the Islam and the value of Islam, the actual value of Islam, it's like I was listening, people were talking, and they were talking about recently, you might have heard, in South Africa, especially in Durban, a financial institution, I won't use a name, that had a lot of money from orphans and widows and hand-to-mouth kind of living people and all that. They invested their money with this Muslim organization, and Muslim organization ceased to be, but all their trustees and all that are living it up and enjoying life. These poor people saved and thought, yeah, the Muslim guru type people, they won't let us down, whatever it is. And today, the poor people or the hand-to-mouth people or those who try to save and invest their money and look after it, these big shots, they fall into the priestly class or the business class, and or the business class and the priestly class work together. If you haven't figured this out in Islamism, they have their own. The business class they pay the priests their wages or their salaries. I don't know what priests earn, and these priests have to depend on them for money. So the business class and the priestly class, they work together, and they just carry on. Now, I told you about the priestly class. The priestly class of the gurus and the pandits, they won't even help the public. That Allah tells in the Quran, eat halal and tayyib. When you break your fast, keep what a real fast is for, is really for develop yourself spiritually, taqwa, to develop taqwa. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you the Quran says, eat halal and tayyib, and what tayyib is. They won't tell you that. So they don't care for the people, right? They care about being in power and authority, and I don't care whether they care about being in authority and power. I have only one authority. Allah is the authority, there is no other. It means nothing to me. I'm just sharing this with you so that you can see, the situation we're in, that the Quran is giving guidance, the gurus and the pandits, and in cahoots with the business class, they're having fun on the other people's buck. You know what I mean? What I'm saying. So here's this organization. They knew it was dying. They didn't save the money and pay out the poorer people and all that. And there's all allegations of how they used the poor people's money for their own families and for all the richer type people. They used and abused the thing. The whole thing collapsed. Mismanagement collapsed, all that sort of thing. Now I'm hearing that there is an opportunity, because the amount of money that we're owed to the widows and the orphans and those who have trusts and all that sort of thing, and the poorer people who hand to mouth and others who are middle class who are saving, it's only I think 10%, and they could, if they want to, pay them out, but they won't pay them out. You know what I mean? So if you're listening to this, I pray you awaken soon. Because the public generally is getting left, right and center let down by the priestly class. In this world, for the health of their bodies, for the health of their lives and all that, and how they live, they let down in this world, they let down in the hereafter. But they also let down by the business class who they go to, and I've heard and I've seen, people will tell you the Muslim people, the worst people to work for. I have had Muslim people tell me about Muslim people. I haven't worked for a Muslim person. I work for a Muslim school. I can tell you about that, my experience about that. I wasn't that impressed, let me tell you that. Or let me tell you now. So, I was paid M+3 while I was an M+4 person. Means I had 4 years of education. I was supposed to get paid 4 years of education. Right? But when they hired me at the school, it was fine. They said, we'll start you off with the M+3. I said, no problem. Matric plus 3 years, bachelor degree. I had an honors degree. And so after a few years working for the school, I wanted to get married. And so I approached the management through, and the higher manager. I said, look, can we give me M plus for what I am qualified for? And I was delivering at the school, working left, right, and center. I was a great asset to the school, the community, everything. But Mr. So-and-so, I won't tell you his name, you know what he told me? He told me in the meeting, he said, you wanted a meeting? I'm giving you a meeting. He said to me, we can't pay you M plus 4. I said, why not? I have that qualification. He says, you're only a guidance counselor. I said, hold on. I'm a life skills facilitator. I do counseling. I do counseling for the parents that come in with their children. I do counseling, obviously, for the children, the staff, the management. I'm assisting at all levels. You're only doing that, the man told me. We can't pay you M plus 4, which is what, I'm supposed. We can't pay, because you're only doing that. What? I said, what would I have to be doing? What would I have to be doing, to get my M? He said, look, if you're teaching maths, and if you're teaching science, we would have happily given you. But guidance and the life skills and helping the community and the families, we don't value that. That's what the man told me. This is what he told me. That's when I packed my bags. I said, I'd rather have nothing to, same business class people, same big names in society. I spoke to the man myself. I had a personal experience. Allah sent a book. I saw it, how Allah provides. Because I was freaked out now. What am I going to do? I'm earning an income here at the school. They know I'm getting married. Then a book came to me, how Allah provides. And I left. I never looked back. And here I am. Allah has been providing one way or another. I've been fine. I'm fine today after all these years. 25 years or so plus. So I'm just trying to tell you people, if you haven't figured this out, speak to the people who have been turning to these organizations. Speak to the Muslim women who have had problems in their marriages and difficulties and all that, and about divorce matters, and speak to them and see, has there ever been, we speak usually about the government. Everybody speaks negatively about the government, but the government's not all bad. We're still carrying on, But why not speak about what's going on in the Muslim community, in the leadership, from the level of, like I'm telling you about a Muslim school I worked at. You know what I mean? That kind of management for that school, what they're interested in, And why not talk about the pundits and the gurus and whether they're helping the masses? Or when people have difficulties, people have difficulties and they go to these Muslim Islamic organizations, when these so-called, upper society Muslim men are trustees and all that in these organizations, and they use and abuse the public's funds. Where is all that? You get what I mean? Nobody's talking about that. Let's just go to the mosque and follow the guru. Let's just go and do a up, down, kiss the ground, turn around and leave. Where is it all going is my question. So I'm not saying this to gossip. I'm just trying to tell you, where is the society going? I don't give a damn. I really, really don't give a damn where the society is going. You know why? Because I'm interested in where I am going. I'm interested in going to heaven. I'm interested in Allah's good in this world through my death and beyond. I know, I've been through this, I've seen it, I've worked with people as a therapist, counselor who've gone to these organizations. I know what happens. So I'm telling you, that the situation, because there's no guidance in the Muslim, there's no true guidance, the Quran says, woe to those who stand in prayer, but whose hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. What I'm trying to tell you is when a Muslim organization where people put their funds in and they can afford to pay out that small group of people, and they say, no, we won't pay off that small group of people that are Muslim public, that can earn money. That they had the hard-earned money invested there. And they say, no, that's the smallest of kindnesses. They can, some of them, with their own assets, can pay it off. Nobody's asking to pay it off with their own assets. But the assets of that organization, they won't do it. They won't do it. They lack the smallest of kindnesses. Now, it might seem like I'm gossiping. No. This is social responsibility. It might seem like I'm criticizing. No. I am giving you a critique. Look and see what chance does the public have in these organizations with the pundits and gurus on their own mission, not even telling people what the Quran says. Muslim organizations are on their own mission, not telling what the Quran says. These Muslim business people who run these organizations and so doing their own thing for their own fame and glory. I'm so and so, I head up this organ, I'm a chairperson here, I'm the this, there, I'm the that. All these power games that they're doing. How does it benefit humanity? Can we be on the straight path, the path upon whom the favors of Allah are, as anyway in that whole picture? No. So salvation is in guidance, is what I'm trying to tell you. You waiting, you hoping, and nobody's coming. The guru is not going to come and help you. Not in this world. The pandit is not going to help you in this world, the world hereafter. No, the Islamic organization is not going to come and help you really in this world. They want your funding. Give money, give us your charity, we're doing very good work, we're feeding people. They'll want your money, they'll take your money. But they got their own agendas. How much of that money, I'm not saying all organizations. I mean, I can tell you, Imtiaz Suleiman, an honorable man. If I would not, without my thinking twice, give money to Imtiaz Suleiman, gift of the givers. But he doesn't run that as a typical Muslim organization anyway, and he's not a typical Muslim, in like Islamic kind of way. So, in terms of what I'm talking about, tribal, traditional, where's the hope? There's no hope. In fact, if you're sensible, you'll know that this is going to get worse. You can't say, oh God, help them, help us. No, they are not interested in the guidance. The question is, are you interested in the guidance? You don't have to be interested in the guidance. It'd be very amazing if any of you are really, really interested in the guidance, living in a world where the pundits and gurus are not interested in the guidance, living in a world where the Muslim organizations are not interested in the guidance, living in a world where the Muslim upper class people who hold positions of authority and office in various, community involved institutions, financial and otherwise, they're not interested in guidance. It'll be very funny if you, as a person out there by yourself, is interested in guidance. But I have been and I am. I don't want anybody to follow me. I don't want to be a guru to anybody. I don't want to have an organization. I don't want to start my own school. I don't want to, start some kind of investment fund. And I got nothing to do. Only one thing I want is Allah's good in this world through my death and beyond. I want to live with spiritual power, personal power, Allah's satisfaction and fulfillment in this world. That's all I want. Names of, I don't want to be a big shot, When I say personal power, I mean using the ability that Allah gave me to benefit me in this world and the world. Using my reason, using my strength, using my energy, using my time, applying myself in a way that benefits me and others. You get what I mean? But I'm not here to save the community. I'm not here to fight against the oppression that goes on in the community. I'm just here to tell you that the month of Ramadan came and went, and if 1% of the people actually attain taqwa, that would be something really amazing. The level of hypocrisy that is going on is it's epidemic. It's incredible. People might think, but how can this be happening? Just build more mosques, because that's what's happening. They're just building more mosques, building more institutions in which hypocrisy is being perpetuated. Let's create more organizations in which hypocrisy. The Quran is vacant, is absent, is not there. Its teaching is not there in these people's minds, in these people's hearts, in these people's organizations, in the way they do things, in the way they're operating. But they'll be in the front line in the mosques. The guru will be giving the, greeting, oh, great man pays my bill, got money from him, he's giving me money. They're playing games with each other. What do they think Allah is unaware? They think Allah is unaware. They think they're not aware of Allah. That is the whole point here. They're not aware of Allah. You see, that's how you do things like this. That's how you live in the world and you think nothing of it, and you continue to deny guidance. because they deny Allah. Anyway, let's come back to what we're talking about here. It's guidance. The question is, do you value guidance? It is very unlikely. If 1% of people value guidance, it would be a very amazing thing to me. How can you value guidance when you think you're already guided, when you're thinking it's all about just don't eat the pig, starve yourself the whole day, and just as long as you don't eat the pig when you break your fast, you're a good Muslim. Forget about how the Prophet, ate what he ate, and how, health conscious and movement and exercise. Forget about all that. You get what I mean? So I'm just speaking this because the Prophet ﷺ said, if you know any one thing, share it. I'm sharing it. You get what I mean? The Quran says, keep reminding, for reminding benefits the believers. I'm clear that most people listening to this recording are not believers and may not want to be believers. And if they're listening to this recording, I wonder why they're listening to it. Most people will stop listening to this recording because it sounds so strange. Can one person's views like this in a world where everybody seems to think everything is fantastic? Well, Islam is not a democracy. The Quran is our, legal document. That's our document. And so, guidance. Who's really willing to be guided? If your life is getting bad to worse, or if your life is not, if you're living in a way that your heart is shut down, if you're not feeling peace, if you're not feeling love, if you're not feeling connection, it's because you're focused into this world. Satan is the one who threatens you with insecurity, causes you to behave in ways unseemly. These behaviors of so-called leaders that I call gurus and pandits, because that's what they are. I'm not mocking. I'm telling you honestly, they're modified Hindus. They're gurus and pandits. That's what they are. If you look carefully, you will see. You look and see. Hindu India, right here in South Africa, where the fair-skinned people look down upon the dark-skinned people, the caste system. Look and see, it's still happening. The fair-skinned ones are telling the dark-skinned ones sit on the floor but traveling first class. And so on. So it's still happening. The hypocrisy. There's two rules. For you all masses, you all must do this. We are so nice. This is no different from Hindu India, where the pandits, they don't have some kind of Quran that they learn from. They tell them what they want to tell the masses, and the masses must come. Fortunately, we don't go to the Pandit and Guru, real Muslims. We go to Allah, we go to the Prophet, we go to the Quran, Prophet ﷺ, we go to Islam, true Islam. We keep learning, we keep growing, we keep developing. So I'm coming back to my main point here. If any of you are not really interested in learning, growing, and if you're happy being the way you've been happy, and you want to continue being happy that way, and you want to be fixed in your mindset, in your personality, frozen personality, you don't want to experience more peace, salam, you don't want to experience more connection, more security. You get what I mean? So a lot of people are like these people. As long as they got their plate of food every day, they got their money, who gives a damn? Let's just go into an act. So there's a lot of us who are not interested in guidance, but it's nice. I hope we don't have any of these people who play that game. I'm not playing the Pandit game here, and I hope others are with me are not playing that game of, let's just come here because it gives our conscience, it appeases our conscience. We can carry on living without learning growth and development, without spiritual development, we're learning. But we're coming here and we're listening to this guy. As long as we're listening to this guy, we're saved. That is nonsense. The only time you'll be saved is you realize that you require guidance, and you humble yourself to receive that guidance, and you allow yourself to be guided and live at a higher level beyond the satanic trance, beyond this world, where you're not controlled by this world. If your focus is in this world, if you get very easily distracted by this world, from Allah, you're not focusing on Allah, you're distracted in this world. The Quran says, beware, this world is but chattels of deception. You understand? It cautions us. Well, who's telling us that? I'm telling you that. Who told you that? Who told me that? The Quran told me that. be careful, this world will deceive you. What has deluded you people? The Quran asks, Allah asks, what has deluded you? Not like, are you deluded? He's asking you, consider what has deluded you. Not that, are you deluded? No, I don't think I am. You are. What has distracted you? What is distracting you? What are you deluded? How are you deluded? How are you failing to submit and have a relationship with Allah beyond this world, the creator of this world? You get what I mean? So what I'm trying to tell you is that the guidance is for those of us who want to reason, reflect, contemplate, who are humble to say, if we are ignorant and superstitious, we don't want to be ignorant. And what does it mean to be a superstitious human being? What does it mean to be, am I superstitious? Yeah. Everybody is, until you remember Allah, until you receive guidance. Only after receiving guidance you're not superstitious anymore. No, but I don't believe cats. If you walk across a cat and the cat has 9 lives, and I don't believe it. No. Until you are aware of truth, haq, you are superstitious. Until you are aware of Tawheed. It comes back to Tawheed. Tawheed is the first and most important pillar of Islam. And it comes back to Tawheed. Submission, to be aware that Allah alone is the actual, the created world is secondary, you are a secondary being in a secondary world. There is before this world Allah, and His will is always done. You get what I mean? If you are focused still, controlled by the world, and look, all of us are controlled by the world, all of us are trying to control the world until guidance comes to us. Those who receive the guidance will recognize their superstition, they'll recognize their ignorance, they'll recognize their arrogance, they'll recognize their ungratefulness, they'll recognize their belief in more than one, plurality, duality. They'll recognize that they believe that they have power, ego power, that they can change, they can get people to change, they can do things. In the meantime, what can we do? Who didn't create ourselves? Who didn't create the world? They don't know how to work with Allah and use the power of Allah. You see, when you live in the separation, believing in separation, in disconnection, you think you're separate, you're independent. If there's only one that's independent, it's Allah. Allah alone is truly independent of all things created. Allah alone is the independent. You get what I mean? Is nothing created is independent. But you might think, I'm separate, I need to do this, I need to change this, I need to control this, I'm controlled by this thing has power. And ego desires, you see, ego desires living without feeling the joy of living, the joy of having natural life, of living tayyibun. See, people don't know. They don't know. And that's why they've listened to all these half-truths and even all nonsense from the gurus and pandits, the hypocrisy that's in the community. They're living lost and continue to live lost. I asked Allah to guide me. I said to Allah, please show me. Please show me. I'm suffering. Please show me. There's one thing I knew that I knew not. And I knew that Allah knew. And I asked Allah to guide me. I didn't say, oh, you know what, when somebody else teaches me, I'll learn. I'm turning to somebody else. You understand? I didn't turn to any, because I knew something not right with this picture. The things that the gurus and pandits and the so-called religious people were telling me, and the behaviors of that, upper middle class or that seemingly elite among the group that I'm talking about, aristocratic, hoity-toity, fair-skinned, Indians. I'm not against complexion or any kind of complexion. My mother's family is very fair-skinned. So, I'm just saying, this is the situation. I knew I didn't know. And I knew others didn't know. And I knew that Allah alone knew. And I knew that Allah would guide. And that's where the adventure started. Realizing I was never alone. That I had the one who was sufficient with me always. I began to see things happen in my life every day when I submitted. Allah didn't expect me to be perfect. He expected me to be humble. and he expected me to be remorseful, which I was. Get what I mean? I said, I don't know. And Allah knows we don't know. He would obviously say, yes, I know you don't know. It's just that some of you don't know, you don't know. You think you know. You get what I mean? And I was guided that there's a purpose for this world. It's one priority. There's only one priority. It's one priority. It's Iman, Amal, and to live a life tayyibun, and to return. A blissful return. It was to remember Allah. It was to become a believer. It was to recognize that Allah alone actually is, to experience Tawheed, to recognize the power of Allah. You get what I mean? It was to recognize Allah's privileging nature. It was about Allah, not about me. It wasn't about me being imperfect, making mistakes, needing to be perfect. It wasn't about me. It's never about me. It's not about my life. I develop and my life improves automatically when you remember Allah. You understand? The Quran says, remember Allah standing, sitting and lying on your side, reclining. Look around and see what Allah has created and say, Allah, thou hast not created this in vain. Subhanallah, you are beyond. Your beauty is beyond the beauty of this world. You've created this world amazing, but you are more amazing than your creation. You get what I mean? So most people are like, Allah, save me. I don't want to sin. Oh Allah, save me from, my suffering. It's about me. I mustn't be the way I am. Change me. Oh, it's about my life. It mustn't be the way it is. Change it. Oh, it's about my behavior. Oh, my children's behavior. Or my spouse's behavior. Allah, something in the world must be different. Make it different. I'm trying to get you to make it different. Now, if you have that mentality, you're very superstitious. You might not believe it. You're not different from the mushrik, the associators. You don't know God. And you think you're having a conversation with God without being aware of God. You must be aware of God. It's not about the current world experience that you are having. It's not about the current world we're all having. It's about Allah and us coming back to Allah, so that in this world, through our death and beyond, we have the best of His, offering to us. It's about the hereafter. Allah says to us, this world is important, but not more important than what it is. It's the hereafter that's more important. And we are here to develop ourselves in experience. I mean, think about it. The only variable is experience, the kind of experience you are having. Now, as the days go by, all the way through your, death, through your death and afterlife, the only variable is the quality of experience. The quality of experience. That's the only variable. And the quality of experience is a function of the level to which you are aware of Allah or not aware of Allah. That's it. That's it. I'm a scientist, and I'm telling you this as a study. You understand? If you don't, it's okay too. That you, as you remember Allah, you will feel better. You will experience more security. Your vibes, your nur will shift. You'll have more nur. If you're not aware of Allah, you'll be insecure and you'll be more insecure. Your heart is diseased, you'll be left to stray. You understand? You'll be left to stray. I was astray, and I didn't want to be left to stray anymore. My heart was diseased, and I didn't want, to live with that diseased heart getting bigger. More insecurity. And so I received guidance. I recognized that there was another version of me that I can be. A version of me that had more Iman in my heart. Or had Iman. I didn't have Iman in my heart. I could become the person who actually had Iman in my heart. And I was grateful. While I wasn't that person, that I could become that person. And I could become the person. Because remember what Allah says, for those who have Iman in the hearts, for those who have Iman and who have good conduct, who have amal, whether they're man or they're woman, male or female, for them is a wholesome life in this world and a blissful return. You know what I mean? So there is for all of us to remember Allah. There is. It's not about you, how long you lived, what happened in your past, where you are now, what's going to happen. All of us are going to transition. The Quran is, the message is telling us death and life were created to see and assess who will return, who won't. Who will remember Allah, who won't. That's the priority. See, whatever people think is the problem, I heard a somewhat enjoyable lecture on Eid Day, which I must say that it's a very rare thing. And this is one of the very few guys that I admire in his lecture. And after every lecture on an Eid Day, I go and shake his hand and I tell him, thank you, it reached me. You have something that you want to reach the people. Yes, he's struggling to explain it because his tribe and community don't have the words and they don't have the concepts, but he's trying. And it reached me, his message. And I said to him, thank you. And I said to him, remember we used to do programs back in the day? He says, you look familiar. He says, well, they don't allow me on the radio station anymore. I said, why not? He says, because of what I'm teaching. I said to him, you're on the right track. I'd like to phone you and have a chat with you. He said, come and visit. I think I might even do that, while I'm here. So my point is, this guy is talking to the people. He says people are asking him on Eid Day, how can you rejoice? Allah says on Eid Day we must rejoice. The day of Eid is a day of celebration. It's a day of festivities. It's a day of feasting. It's a day that I indulge. From morning to night, I go for it. The rest of the year, other than the other Eid, okay, there are times when I celebrate and I feast and all that. But Eid Day, I wear my best clothes, I give charity, I'm there, I'm smiling, Prophet said, it's a day of rejoicing. And I know why I'm rejoicing, because I have developed taqwa. 30 days of fasting, I've developed a taqwa I didn't have. I know it was a month of spiritual development. I have a reason to celebrate. You get what I mean? And you have a reason to feast. You have a reason to feast. Not that you are feasting every fast-breaking day and now you're feasting again. You get what I mean? And it's celebration. It's a celebration. That's why I write that message and I put it out to explain to people. It's a celebration for who? And you can't fast on the day of Eid. I love fasting. If I could help it, I'd fast on the Eid day. That's me. You might think I'm strange, but I'm telling you, I would rather fast. But we are to celebrate spiritual development. And I celebrate. If there's anything you're going to celebrate, it's celebrate spiritual development. Celebrate your birthday, celebrate your children doing well at school. It's all fine and dandy. Celebrate spiritual development. That is something to realize. Because in this world, through your death and beyond, you understand? In this world, that's what your priority is. Your priority is to remember Allah, receive guidance. So I was thinking, if I had the chance to speak there, not to say that, maybe one day in the past I wanted to speak there, but not anymore. I don't think the people listening there would like me to speak there. I think they would not want to hear what I have to say. But you know what I would have said? I would have said, because he's saying that there's people suffering in different parts of the world, and Muslims are being persecuted and all that. And now, be sad. People have been sad. Now, how do you celebrate? I don't have a problem celebrating spirituality, let me tell you that. Because the life of this world is temporary. People suffering in this world is temporary. You know what I mean? There's things worse than oppression and suffering. There's things worse than this world. Now, for the people who are non-believers, they're like, what do you mean there's things worse than this world? Don't make this world more important than what it is. The good of this world, don't make it more important. The bad of this world, don't make it more important. Means the suffering, Don't lose power to this world. If you focus on Allah, the objective is always to become aware of Allah, His greatness, His graciousness, and your okayness with Him. Now I feel it within me. Because when that man was talking, I was there, and I was feeling it. That it's more important that I remember Allah, experience peace. No matter what is happening in me, how I am in my life, in my family members' life, in the community, in the world, in people I don't know that are suffering in other parts of the world. You get what I mean? That peace within my being, I rejoice the peace. The security, I rejoice. You get what I mean? So while I might not be the way I want to be, the world might not be the way I think it should be, other people in my life might not be the way I think they should be, I still feel the peace of Allah. The peace of Allah. And I can still feel that, yes, we are to rejoice on the day of Eid because we have developed taqwa. We are not the same people. Our lives have improved in this world through our death and beyond. It's going to get better for us. I think that is something to celebrate. And I'm very sad to tell you, well, I'm not really sad to tell you, if other people are suffering in the world, I'm not going to rob myself of me feeling good about me remembering Allah. You understand? I feel good about me remembering. I feel good about the security in my heart. I feel good about the peace that I feel. I feel good about the assurance and reassurance that I have Allah with me. Allah hears those who praise Him. I'm heard by Allah. I'm in His care. I'm taken care of. I want to tell you something as I bring this lecture to end. I was in the lounge, in the airport lounge. You can see, I used the lounge. I was in business class. I took the opportunity. You know what I mean? I'm moving up. I'm not making any qualms. I say shukr to Allah. Allah guide me to greater levels of comfort and luxury in this world as a believer. But it's not the comfort and luxury in this world and the world beyond. It's me being a believer and in the hereafter having Jannatul Firdaus. That's the main. But in this world, I'll let the quality of my life, I'll move up wherever I can. Halal, tayyib. It's halal and tayyib, sitting in first class or business class, right? So, I come down from the lounge. I'm just about to give my boarding pass to go into the bus that takes you to the plane. And there's this guy, he comes down, he says, did anybody leave their cell phone in the lounge? Check. I said, oh my God, it's me. It's my phone. You understand? So he's telling me the maid, I was sitting next to you, and the maid, not the maid, the cleaner, actually asked me if that was my phone. And then I remembered you were sitting next to me, and you were talking, and anyway, I said to him, you left the lounge to come look for me. There's so many boarding gates. How did you know which boarding gate I was? How did you know where I was going? My time is up, but I'm just going to tell you this. Out of the blue, sources unknown, ways, and Allah finds the way. I'm a believer. I can't suffer. As a believer, it is impossible. It's Allah's responsibility to look after me. And I've seen it. As long as I'm responsible, I do my part. Every day I say to Allah, Allah, I'm sorry that I never saw that you protected me. Wherever I was protected and I never saw it, I'm asking for forgiveness. Allah, wherever I have been taken care of and I denied it, I'm very sorry. I'm thankful for your protection, your caring for me. And so Allah, wherever I make a mistake, I see the hand of Allah like this. Impossible. I would have been on that plane. Nobody would know how to unlock my phone. They would never know. You know what I mean? And here this man comes. I said, well, who are you? What are you? He says, I'm an architect. I said, look, when I come back to Cape Town, I want to come and meet you. Gave me his name, gave me his, where his practice is, whatever it is. So I'm trying to tell you something here. These things happen to those who believe. I got other stories to tell you, but my time is up for today. Because Allah has guided me to the path. That things get better and better for me in this world through my death and beyond. I have reason to rejoice. You get what I mean? You can suffer. I can suffer in this world. The people of all over the world can suffer. I feel good that I'm living for this world through my death and beyond. Iman has come to me. Guidance has come to me. I live with Iman, Amal, Allah. I'm in peace. I'm looking forward to the hereafter. So, excuse me if I can't feel too unhappy? I have reason to be happy. And as I told you in last week's lecture, the worst thing is not oppression in this world. The worst thing is to die without believing in Allah. The worst thing is to die without drawing closer to Allah. And Allah has guided me to Him and draws me closer to Him. Shukr to Allah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.